IVM.
Litnama. Lakshmi Krishnan talks to the new agents of the literary culture today on her show Litnama. Now that's not a light, that's actually literature. She plunges deep into the new genres of literature, hence using a light. Born in the digital era, as she talks to the performers, storytellers, bloggers, poets and writers, all for free. Tune in to the new episode every Tuesday to know more about this contemporary literary scene. कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative.
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Cock and Bull, we've got some reasonable philosophers. We have Abbas, we have Amit, we have Punit, who's come back from Switzerland for some reason. Who goes to Switzerland and comes back without cash?
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
CNB Productions presents Cock and Bull. I'm CNB, Cyrus and Brocha. Cock and Bull, fantastic show, but I want to just spend a second about a hoarding I saw on my way here, which has the Prime Minister, who will not be named, giving a gas connection to a lady in a burqa. And this joker sitting with me, who's a smart aleck two-bit comedian, let's call him Siddharth. Siddharth is telling me, check it out, man. He won't give citizenship, but he'll give gas. I was like, that's not funny. And don't say that in public. It's not funny. Okay, it's called Cock and Bull, and we're going to discuss all this because we are not scared to have discussions. Democracy is about discussions. We have Amit, he's back, and I'm going to wish him a happy new year for the last time. Punit Pania is back from all over the world. He went to Poland, and we want to discuss that. What the hell was he doing in Poland? And Abbas is back. Abbas, you and me, we have to check on a weekly basis if we are here. But let's start the ball rolling with
it's called Cock and Bull.
It's called Cock and Bull, and we'll be right back, Uncle.
Look! Up on the internet! It's a meme! No! It's a cat video! No! It's the Geek Fruit Podcast!
That's right, we interrupt this riveting broadcast to tell you about our show, the Geek Fruit Podcast, where Tejas, Dinkar and I, Jishnu, talk about everything in pop culture, including DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Netflix, and everything in between.
You know how your friends hate it when you ramble about some nerdy crap and you just want somebody to listen to you? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that, but come listen to us ramble and it'll almost be like the real thing. Kind of.
Listen to new episodes of the Geek Fruit Podcast every Monday and the Geek Fruit Bulletin every Thursday on iTunes, Google Podcasts, the IVM app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy listening, you nerds.
I start with the famous words Cock and Bull. And we've got Amit back in action.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. How was your holidays?
Terrible. Do you want to have that discussion right now?
No, I'm
There's so much to talk
I'm
about.
being polite.
All right. I went to Alibag, spent 6 days there, looked in the garden, found one snake, played with the dogs. My wife told me to wear clothes when I'm walking in the early morning because apparently some people are up. But early morning means 5 o'clock, boss. Who's up at 5 o'clock? Why can't I walk around naked? What's the point of having a little land to yourself? You can't walk around naked. Texas was built on that foundation. Even today, you see the Bush family walking around naked, barring their bush. Punit, welcome back.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Right. Namaste. You were just outside the JNU?
Yeah, the usual Sunday.
No, as usual, you were in the wrong place. He was the only person looking for Fanta. There's a little canteen outside. Everybody else had issues, protests. Punit was like, Fanta millega. And Abbas, welcome back after the turn of the year. Any changes in India?
Lots of changes.
Good or bad? Or
we'll see.
We don't pass judgment.
Yeah.
We just tell it like it is. Before we start, Punit, quickly tell us, you went to East Europe towards the end of the year.
I went to Basel, Switzerland.
Basel? Sounds like Khapoli ka right mark U-turn karke 20 kilometers into a village. Give me a name, it sounds European.
Since Switzerland, my friend stays there. So he called me over, said we'll have like a bachelor's 2 weeks.
So you were carrying cash from Bombay to Switzerland?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Strapped to my this thing.
You can just walk voluntarily. The government is changing Maharashtra. You can just walk as you want.
And the best part is that guy left after I went there because somebody passed away in his family.
Left to go where?
Back to India. So I spent
This is not even funny. It's a neutral country, yaar.
So I spent 2 weeks alone in a...
you stayed back?
Because...
But that's not bad then. You got the house to yourself.
Yeah.
And you're recently married.
But
and
then
your wife's working hard in Kerala.
Yes.
So that tells me what happened. That tells me.
There is no human beings in Switzerland. You are just with yourself.
I used to hear a bell ringing when I was there, and after a lot of driving, you'd finally see a cow. Yes, a cow. Along with black money, they have our cows as well. Give our cows back, I say. Forget the cash.
It's so quiet that you can hear your stomach digesting food.
But they shut everything at 7, no?
Yeah.
They don't have a dinner concept. Dinner is 5, I think.
In the older houses, you can't even flush a toilet after sundown. They can call the police on you.
Really?
Yeah. It's true.
Wow.
Wait, what? You're joking. I'm sure you're joking.
The good thing is the neighbors wash you.
Wooden houses, not the old ones. So you can hear everything through and through. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
If there's an older couple staying downstairs or upstairs, they're going to have it with you because they are in constant vipassana. It's so quiet there.
No, he's absolutely right. If you ever travel to Switzerland, these places are, because we're Indians, there's no soundless society in India. It just doesn't happen. Even in Kushrubag, you'll hear something. But here, you drive, and we drove. Aisha, my wife, drove me and Kunal, able-bodied men who sat in the back and cried, all across Switzerland. And everywhere we went, like he said, you don't see people. You hear a bell, it's a cow. At the best, you don't hear any sound because the engines are also so smooth. German technology. There's nothing. The only sound you'll hear is suddenly the one guy stopped in the middle of the road going, Papa, wo pahad ka naam kya hai? It's a bloody Indian kid screaming. And the father has no idea. Nilgiri is my God knows that. Rampur.
And they have bullet trains everywhere. Jo bullet train ke liye apna mar raha hai yahan pe. Bullet train aayega to election jeet jayega.
Why can't the bullet go from Switzerland to Ahmedabad?
Eventually it will.
Oh shit! What are you saying?
Eventually, see, even Nagaland will have a metro station after a few years. But the point is, India might not be left by that.
Wrong in every single way I can think of. Let's take this comedian out. We get enough flag, boss. We don't want flag. We have to get a right-wing comedian. Who's a right-wing? Is there a right-wing guy in stand-up comedy?
Nitin Gupta comes to mind.
Sambit Patra.
We can't afford Sambit Patra. They're Delhi elections. He's got his work cut out here. All right, topic number 1, beta.
Topic number 1 at the time of recording is, it feels like everything, the topics I have are like sequels to stuff we've already discussed.
Because it's ongoing.
We discussed
it's like former shots. The second season. So we are second season with same topics.
We discussed the Brazil fires last year. Now we have the Australia fires.
That's terrible.
When we ended the year, we were talking about the AMU and Jamia attacks. Now we have the JNU attacks.
Correct.
So, but this one though is not police brutality. This was about 40 to 50 goons.
Who may or may not have been in any force.
But Abbas, this might also mean that you're doing too many episodes.
Yeah, we have to put out 3 every week. So yes, we are.
What you're saying is give it a 6-month pass so that topics change.
We did actually take like a week off, and but despite that, so in a nutshell, 40-50 goons entered the campus, broke property, beat up students pretty badly.
No, the interesting part is how much time they spend there. They spend 3 to 4 hours watering the garden, going for walks, holding hands, all these lovely things. And nobody, with the police station just a little bit away, with police bandobast outside, with all kinds of, I mean, you and me can't enter. They'll stop us in 1 second.
I have tried,
and I have even covered my face by request from not just government, but other authorities as well.
So yeah, I mean, police was pretty much a spectator. So this has a sort of a backstory to it.
You investigated the whole thing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So there was the fee hike.
He studied in every university in India. So.
There was a fee hike, JNU fee hike, which we also discussed on Cock and Bull. So there's
caused its own internal fighting.
Yeah, so the protests for that have been going on continuously within the premises of the
But were
campus.
they divided on the left students?
In the
on the
beginning,
left
they were
on
not.
The right?
In the beginning, the ABVP and the left
were
students were together on
this one subject.
But
when it comes to paisa, we Indians are united.
But as is bound to happen, there was a difference of opinion there itself. There was some issue regarding the registration of students, which was going on for the past 2 days, because of which apparently the Wi-Fi was also shut. Now the ABVP students in JNU are less in number compared to the left students. So this
Are
was
you in completing the degree course or just generally?
No, in generally speaking. So
you get distracted. Hartal! Maro! Whatever. Then you, biology kaun karega abhi? You know this.
This because they didn't have the numbers to retaliate within the campus. This was seen as they outsourced goons because there was a
faculty from elsewhere. Let's use the right phrases.
Alleged goons.
Alleged goons. There was WhatsApp screenshots.
They were masked men. You call them Avengers. Where in America and here you give them these dirty names. Gundagardi. What gundagardi?
No, I think they're clearly goons, but I think we don't know their ABVP for sure, right? I mean, like that's uncertain yet.
That is uncertain.
That is speculation, but uncertain.
Speculation. I mean, nobody's been arrested.
No, he's got a point.
Some people have taken some sort of face recognition and through their eyes in the half of the face that they can see, they have made
So this is called a
comparisons with
CSI?
previous. Some of them are DSU students, not JNU students. ABVP students.
No,
from DSU.
my mind is boggled at the science. You have shown one eyebrow and decided that you know the fourth generation
When
of
I
this
say
guy
face
from
of-
Meerut. The entire family has been traced.
CSI
What is science doing?
CSI Karol Bagh.
Because these.
And even that part I didn't get, Punit. Even that audition I didn't get.
When I say facial recognition, the old-fashioned facial recognition, where some students saw other students, we have seen them
Oh,
before.
acha. That's called pehchan.
Also, not all of them had hidden their faces. There were goons who were also openly roaming around, who have been caught on
They
CCTV.
wanted followers on Instagram.
I know. I think some people they just want validation. Even if it's a crime, just somebody know me. Yeah. Sorry, they're making light of a very hard
it's
subject.
okay.
But at the end of the day, for me, the just funny part, if it's funny, is the right word, is that how can they spend 3.5 hours inside and no authority sort of come and take them out or stop this and quell it, you know? So anywhere else, within 2 seconds, for example, with no parking, you hire a watchman from Mumbai. You try and park your car in a building and the watchman is so fast.
Which means this happened with the
Blessing.
I don't know
Yeah.
about blessing. I think it's probably more likely that people don't want to confront them. Cops and stuff like that, they're
Right.
aware of what the political machinations are behind the scenes, right? Of these kinds of things.
Machination is an English word.
I know.
If you Google it, it will tell you that it's about directions in life.
No, what makes it suspicious is no action was done while this was happening. No action was taken even after.
But they filed an
finished.
FIR against
The victims, the student president.
Aisha Ghosh.
Yeah.
Ghosh,
yeah, who was badly injured and
hit on the head,
hit on the
bleeding
head.
and everything,
Yeah.
and repeatedly, not just like by
Yeah.
mistake once.
So that the second part of it was then another mob.
But why did they file an FIR against her? I want to know that.
Because that's for a different incident.
Okay.
A day before.
But now that they had got her in the hospital, they said, since you're an agitator, we'll file that against you, and then we'll
Yeah.
take into your case a little later.
That was for a day before misbehaving with the security personnel of the campus.
But misbehaving the security person means what? You come in
There were
full face.
security
scuffle
personnel?
of the campus.
Because there were security personnel.
The day
this is a
before
day
they were.
before.
That's
The day
what-
before,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
on that particular
On that
day,
day
they
they
were
were.
tired because of the scuffle. So wo to sab nikal gaya, and there was no one there, and then these people.
So
were
that's
opened.
what there was a mob which gathered outside the gate and they were manhandling the journalists who were present there.
Right.
And also,
and the tourists,
also chanting communal slogans.
communal slogans.
Yeah.
Yes, this is our country.
Communal or communist?
Communal.
No, communist is only east. No other place to go. Huh?
So, yeah. That's
Okay, so as you say, we entered 2020 and nothing's really changed. We've got this goal. I think the government has to sort this out because I think they're not getting good press out of this. Let's be honest.
So I have
And
a
just-
take on that.
Look, I'm a Democrat. I'm saying give everybody that way of thinking. If you want to argue about CA, argue as much as you want. But physical violence, you have to draw the line on that. And beating girls up, what kind of men do that? What happened to, when Amit and I were young, strong, hot-blooded men, I have never, except for the female mosquito, touched a woman in an inappropriate way. Any species, not even a poodle, only the mosquito. And that too once. After that, I regretted it because you don't even know if it was carrying the infection. Malaria, by the way. And now dengue. But that's from Australia, which have their own problems. So, back
The
to us.
BJP did put out a tweet condemning the attack. They said this is being done by agents
Nirmala
of,
Sitharaman said,
agents
I'm
of
a JNU
anarchy.
alumni and I was used to debate and discourse.
They
but violence.
forgot to add lol at the end of the tweet.
No, but why don't they say things like, that ICA will be looked after, we will find the perpetrators, we will definitely catch them, 100%
That's all,
will give
yeah,
it in 3
yeah.
days. I mean, otherwise they tell you in 2 days we'll catch everybody
The
brought to
only
justice.
political
Pakistan
person-
we punished within 5 minutes without even verifying if it was Bangladesh. Boom.
The only politician who showed up at the place was Yogendra Yadav and he was also beaten up badly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. It just, the way you said
couldn't
it.
help yourself.
Yogendra and your supporters, I apologize. The poor chap, he used to be on our channel as a Pandit first.
Yeah.
He was a psephologist, if that's the right
Psephologist,
word.
yeah.
With a P.
Okay, that Pandit.
That
No,
Pandit. Political
no, stop it.
I thought the India TV Pandit who
There's
comes
double
from
meaning
the-
has to end somewhere here. Let's go back to sex here. Much better. Do all double meaning, only sex, okay? Not politics. And yeah, so he went from there, he went to AAP, I think, and then from
Yeah.
AAP he's changed parties again.
Yeah.
And now he's an independent, I think. I'm
No,
not
he has a
sure.
new party.
He has his own new
Yeah,
party.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, but he's one of those real politicians who's trying to affect change, rightly or wrongly sometimes. But, one feels a little bad.
Right. Yeah, no, nobody should get beaten up, right? At the end of it, that's just...
But not nobody.
immature.
I have this guy in my building I can't stand. But yeah.
Fair enough.
There were counter protests for this around the country. The most notable, which was in Mumbai itself, Gateway of
Mumbai's
India.
had a lot of protests, I must say.
Which at the time of recording in the morning now, those people have also been picked up and been left at Azad Maidan.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Free ride.
because apparently there was no permission to protest there, and yet for about 30 to 32 hours, people kept
I think this is poor politics. If I was the government, just from a clinical point of view, Machiavellian point of view of success and winning the election next time round, I think they're handling this all wrong. Don't mess with student
the
population.
Delhi police or the Bombay police?
Well, in the case, the separate
The
parties.
Delhi police for sure.
Separate parties running both these issues, but I'm saying they both handled it wrong.
No, so they're definitely true, but I mean, like the Bombay police, a little more defensible, I think,
Yeah,
because
there's no active violence.
There was no
on record.
So in the morning there was no lathi
So we should be
charge.
grateful.
no, it was dude, I mean, like, these protests are disrupting traffic, right? They're outside Gateway of India. They're disrupting traffic. Kolaba and Nariman Point, and all of it's a mess because.
So how do you define peaceful protest, Amit? What do you want to do? Stand on a mountain?
No, I don't think that.
Where no one can see you. I mean, Lakshadweep, can anybody hear me? Hello, come in. Roger, Monty Python here. Hello.
Alibag,
Alibag, yeah.
So, are you asking me what my point of
No,
view on this is? My point of view on
where
this
do you
is
draw the
that
line?
you should be able to protest wherever the hell you want to. Why should protest be done with permission? But that is not a commonly held point of view. Most people in this country think that if you're going to do protests,
when the Marathas were protesting because they wanted a stronger reservation percentile, they brought South Mumbai just a couple of years back. South Mumbai to a standstill. Not one person was arrested.
Right.
Not one. And I cried. I urinated in my own car. I remember telling my pal Shamlal, I said, we have to pee in the car because if we can't even open the door, we'll bang into auntie's car. So we have to pee there. Okay, no. So these are all soft targets that they attack. That's my problem. Why do you? I mean, these poor people who are protesting are not exactly, the greatest mob of.
Yeah, it is actually these are more kind of spontaneous protests, right? People who don't protest normally go for these things, and so these are people who you're going to, if you go and get like a bunch of political activists protesting, which is what happened at the at JNU as well, right? These are a bunch of political people, right? Yeah. No cop wants to get involved with these people. No cops want to really get there, right? They don't mind dealing with normal people.
There doesn't have an overt command, but there's a hidden high command sort of thing in your head. Yeah. And you know which way the breeze is blowing. That's all.
It's not even about which way the breeze is blowing.
BJP should elect me and Punit, and we will handle the situation for them. We will talk to the younger people in a language that they understand. Like, hey, bang, stop it!
See, if you're a police officer, right, like an inspector, sub-inspector, something of that, you're essentially mid-management, right, in the context of police. Are you really going to go out and pick a fight with somebody who is going to call your bosses?
Yeah, but you can't think like that, no?
But that's what.
But isn't it a little crazy that the police of Delhi does not? It comes under the Home Ministry directly and not under the Chief Minister.
Yeah, but that's a separate issue of Delhi, which is another ridiculous
but
story.
But then essentially the Chief Minister
now,
can't do anything.
If Kejriwal was in charge, then they would be going another way with this. Yeah. And they would be joining the protest.
Which
they
would
be giving water to the protesters. It would be totally different.
I'd rather that than them not doing anything.
I'm saying they have to be completely away from political patronage one way or the other.
The checks and balances.
Independent. They have to be independent. It's basically the watchman of the building. The building is owned by, let's say, BJP, and the watchman of the building are doing what they're told.
There is a video of a JNU student confronting a policeman where he said, "You're a public servant. You're supposed to protect the public. All you do is turn the other way when the public is being beaten right in front of you."
And what did the cop say?
Nothing.
Exactly that.
The cop said, "हमने तो नहीं मारा ना." That is it.
So he was a philosopher. There's something in that. There's something for that. Maybe he studied in JNU.
Maybe he's still studying in JNU.
Yeah. Many years later. Yeah, well, it's really sad that it's come down to this. Violence
violence is a step too far, right? I mean, like, I support democratic protest for every side, but when it gets violent on either end, right?
Baba,
at that point,
Amit, I remember you shouting Ravi Shastri hi in Wankhede Stadium in the 80s. Okay, if I call the police to beat you up for that, where will it end? Yeah? One can't say anything. Come on.
I actually did do that once.
Why?
Why? I don't know, because everybody around me was doing it.
I know.
And so I got caught up in the moment and I got carried away.
You mean human beings. Where was the police then? I asked JNU authorities. Okay, I think again we're rubbishing the topic a little bit.
Punit, you haven't said much about this.
There's also a shutdown JNU Twitter trend. So,
the other side of the coin.
Yes, and the other side is very active.
The other side says the army should take over JNU.
Yeah, well, I'm a little worried about politicizing the army now. There are a lot of statements coming out of the army which never happened 10 years ago. But that's the way the world is, maybe everywhere in the world. Speaking of army, of course, Iran lost their big guy.
Yeah, that's one of the topics.
Oops.
We'll discuss that in the second half.
And it's Soleimani, not Somani. Huh? So please, I don't want Indians going berserk. Somani ko mara. Soleimani ko mara. Not the same guy.
The Delhi elections have been announced. February
Feb 21st.
8th. Yes. Feb 11th will be the
21st
results.
is the movie.
Yeah.
Where two gay men
Yeah.
fall in love.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's in a future episode.
Yes.
A reference.
Shouldn't mention it. It's not happened yet. I will have this dialogue.
Yeah.
With Manvi. Manvi will come on the show.
Yeah.
Famous actress, and we'll discuss
Yes.
her film. Sorry.
Yeah. Nothing. Feb 8th elections. So how do you think this will affect the
calling
elections?
I'm calling it up. I think the BJP at the moment has their publicity is not very good, and you have to understand the power of students. Students are the most powerful force in the entire world.
But do you think that affects the election?
No, I see that, that
It
your
has a long-term
your
effect.
college kid, let's say
Right.
Punit is my college, the 18-year-old, 20-year-old kid or whatever, you have to understand he is the fulcrum of the house in many ways. So his opinions, his thoughts are, if you beat up my son, even if I'm pro-BJP, I'm going to get very angry because now it becomes personal. So you have to understand that a lot of pan-India, there's a lot of sentiment which is just becoming very emotional. And they're not understanding that. They have to deal with
I still
emotions.
think that's
I
amongst
think my
people like
father
us.
would still vote for the
No.
BJP.
I think it has a tremendous effect in the long term. I don't think it's going to matter
Abbas,
at
it goes
all
like
in the
fire.
next 5 years. But in the next 15 years,
Yes.
it will turn this kind of...
Yes.
It will turn... Because what will happen is that you have friends who get beaten up. You
Yeah.
have friends who get beaten up. You hear about this stuff. Now, all of a sudden,
And
you
also,
harden your position.
You're at your most loving and best when you're in college. In a sense that you love your community, you love your friends. There's no Hindu-Muslim issues really.
Right.
Everybody gets along really well. That's the time the peace, love and flower power sort of moment is there. You want to listen to rock music and
But
things
isn't
like
that
But
also one of the reasons when college students come out of and enter mainstream politics, they tend to not do very well?
that's one way of looking
At least in the recent
I'm just talking about
past.
the bonding of the community. The community is stronger than you think. And also, they are the future of India. They are going to vote. And this is a pan-India phenomenon.
Not
It's not just
vote.
JNU.
It's-
But the
it's not just vote,
future
right?
of India is unemployment, and that is BJP superpower.
All right.
Like a superpower cynicism just throw in at the end of everything.
Punit, stand-up comedy is not the only industry. You are a shame and a black sheep of the Sindhi community. Everyone has thrived. My own uncle Mohan Gidwani is a multi-millionaire. He has the same story
No,
as
but
yours.
this is just phase one.
And you went into bloody comedy and that to English comedy. Now whose fault is that?
That's the
We can't
launch
say anything in
phase.
English.
Launch phase, second phase, I'll become a satsang guy. So that's
But will you still do stand-up satsang?
Yeah, sitting down.
Then I'll come. Then I'll
Sitting.
Sitting down, no fun here. Only old people come. You have to get the young
this is
involved.
after stand-up gets banned after the next election. So then that's my...
Stand up and satsang.
Did you see the
Stand sung.
Sadhguru explaining the CAB and NRC thing which Modi shared?
They don't send it to me, the clip.
Really? You haven't seen that? Okay.
I mean, directly, no.
Okay.
I'll have to go through
I'll
the
send it
channel.
to you.
I'll have to go through the
Have
channel.
you seen Sadhguru's clips? Like, do you see it online?
It's quite funny. I've seen a few,
Yeah.
but in the old days, I saw on golf and things like that. Neutral topics are always more fun. I get very worried when they politicize topics and all that. And then we better be careful what we say and which side we're going.
Yep.
Let's take a break then.
I think we should take a break. We should take a break because the topics will remain the same, but we'll try and change the artists.
Are you constantly seeking happiness? Wondering how to make the most of every day? How not to let your inhibitions stop you from achieving your goals? It's now time to get your A game on. It's time to unlock your true potential. Tune in to the Empowering series with me, Zarina Poonawalla, to feel empowered in all genres of life. From behavioral skills to management skills. From health to relationships. From mental well-being to emotional well-being. And of course, your finances. I've got you covered. With these tips and tricks from me, Zarina, and true life stories from my amazing guests, you're bound to bring your purest to the table. Tune in to the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back. Cock and Bull. Amit is stunned that we spent 40 minutes in the first half on one topic, more or less. We're still on the
because,
pressings of JNU
We were
University.
just talking about how we want to keep ourselves a little more neutral, right?
More neutral. No,
We spend half the
I'll tell you,
topic.
my philosophy on this is very simple. That we cannot become a right-wing, left-wing.
Yeah.
Because right-wing, left-wing makes no sense. So you have to allow some balanced opinions and people have to speak their mind. Otherwise, if we have just one opinion, what's the point? So I will bring discourse back. I'm the Akbar, if he's allowed to participate in discourse anymore. I'm the Akbar of the modern era. and I'll have my own Dini Ilahi.
So there's a political
mix.
You really think people with difference of opinion to Akbar would go like, Emperor, I have a difference.
People who don't understand.
Please do not behead me.
Morons who don't understand history will always say bad things about Akbar. In my mind, the greatest of Indian kings.
Sure, I'm not
barring maybe
denying
Ashoka.
that. No matter how open-hearted he was.
Tell them to read and study and research his life. Not just open-hearted, how he liked to listen.
Okay.
He was open in a sense where politicians across the world are not. He wanted to listen. He wanted to bring the people in and say, let's talk.
But maybe
people don't
he
want to
just
do
had
that.
a very good IT cell.
That's what
He did. His name was Birbal. No, but there's a lesson there. And the lesson is that they have to listen more. Listen to the young people. Listen to the other people. Let's listen a little bit. Let's not be in a hurry just to pass judgment. Yeah. That we do. That's why we have the show. So, topic number 2.
Amit was saying something, I interrupted.
No, it was just ideology, right? So, I mean, like, what ideology turns into this left wing, right wing that you're talking about, right? Is ideology becomes a shortcut for you to not have your own opinions, right? And I think that is one of the most
and it's like a banner.
So basically, okay, I am a pro-BJP guy. So that means because I'm a pro-BJP guy, I'm going to feel like this about this issue. I'm going to feel like this about this issue. I'm going to feel like this about this issue.
Yeah, but look at what they say is the greatest example of democracy and voting is when Clement Attlee was voted after the Second World War. You think Winston Churchill was the golden boy of the whole world?
Yeah.
England, everybody was called Winston. Girls were called Winston after that. Okay, but the 45, the war was over. The next election, they lost. And they took Clement Attlee in because they wanted peace. They said, for war, we want this belligerent man who says, we'll fight them on the beaches. And whatever. Fair enough. All this is right. But he will fight till the last Briton is alive. And they wanted that kind of, belligerence. And the moment they get peace, they don't want that. That's a knowledge of a public to know that. That this guy suits this guy suits that. So I'm saying you can vote BJP for one thing and then you can vote Congress or whoever for the next thing.
So you shouldn't, so I mean like this is very clear in the American political ideology. More so
where
than
they
India.
mix and match. Yeah.
Where like if you look at what the Republicans stand for and what the Democrats stand for, right? Republicans
they can vote for the other party on certain issues.
No, so Republicans generally stand for religious conservatism, financial conservatism. They stand for these kinds of issues, right? Democrats, on the other hand, stand for socially liberal policies.
And they watch more porn, Democrats.
I was going to say that from a financial perspective or from an economic perspective, they believe in more government intervention, right? Now, there are a lot of people, I fall on this side, where economically I would be on the Republican side, but socially I would be on the Democrat side, right?
Right.
And that is a very common thing over there. Now, in India, things are a little bit more muddled because
But they do vote family-wise on one party or the other. So you have 4 generations of Republicans.
Not at all.
So they fight in the family, you're saying?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Civil war again?
Well, happens all the time, man. I mean, like in my family, it happens, right? My brother is Republican. Like
my family,
Republican.
The last election, a little bit of voting here, there, and everywhere. Now it's very clear.
Like, I have a WhatsApp group with my brother and a few of his friends, and there was a meme that Trump creating jobs in Iran too. And this was sent
no, not nice.
This was sent by Republican supporters in the US, right? I mean, like, so I'm just saying that, my brother it probably is not that extreme as some of the other guys over there, but he's
getting there.
But Donald Trump has to be very careful. Growing up, you thought Iran was the belligerent fascist state and this and that. A lot of people are looking at his actions and all as far more aggressive. And
because it's transparently election driven, right?
And also like a bully. America's bully nature is seen in him because he is a bully.
He is a bully.
And you look at Obama, who was trying not to be a bully, but actually had more forces on ground.
Yeah.
So here's the irony.
But it's transparently political in the same way that our, the surgical
strikes.
It's transparently political.
So
right?
This is the new trend that the politicians announce it as it happens almost live, like he's an announcer. Aur ye aa gaya, upar se right maar ke and ye gaya. I don't know. I mean, that's what it's going to be, right? Trump literally talks like that. I mean, in English. But it's the same thing now. We killed him. He died like a dog. What the hell? Who talks like that? How do you talk like that?
Trump could be a good wrestling announcer.
I think he is.
He is.
Even dresses with I hate his ties, by the way. Nobody. Do you like his ties?
I can't stand anything about him, man. His ties, his hair, his suits.
They found a
way of talking.
I apologize for that. I meant ties to North Korea and places like Russia.
Okay.
Couldn't set it up in time because of the sneeze.
But the day this happened, when the general died, World War III was the top trend in the world.
I think World War IV now. 3 has already happened.
So do you think...
3
Well,
was
see, there's underlying currents
one
here.
was happened already. The one with Ritik and that.
Correct. And it bombed. Boss, it bombed. There's an irony for you.
It's already on Amazon Prime. I saw it like a couple of years ago. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I was kind of surprised.
No, but there's undercurrents here which no one's looking at. It's Saudi versus Iran. You're playing on their side. Israel and Saudi are not friends, but will have to become friends because America's big daddy in the middle. Where's China's position? Russia's pro-Iran.
Yeah.
Okay. And where's India in all this? We are sending messages saying, boys. And when it comes to them,
friends with Iran also, and we're friends
so
with America
now
also.
we quell fires abroad. There we are playing elder statesmen and saying all the right things. Iran, don't be aggressive. America, back down. But back in JNU, beta, मैंने सुना कि थप्पड़ मार के जो जवाब दिया.
Yeah, that's how it stands.
Yeah.
But Iran has vowed revenge for this. There was around 80 million people at the funeral of Soleimani.
You're right. But actually, all the belligerence is still from Donald Trump. He's announced 52 sites.
Yeah.
I mean,
including archaeological sites.
Yeah, I mean, which makes no sense. The site is the great famous thing is there, and the cylinder.
But the battlefield for all this is Iraq, right? Because he was killed. The general was killed in Iraq.
There, yeah.
Now Iran is also threatening to retaliate.
So what was he doing in Iraq?
One Iraqi general was killed as well, which nobody's talking about. Yeah, but I know Punit, it hurt you. Because you were in Switzerland and you just wanted company. You said, I don't care if he's a general. I just want someone to come and hang with me. Was it very lonely in Switzerland? 15 days?
Yeah.
Did you not meet other people, but also the language issues and all? No?
Yes. And then I went to Paris as well, and they're just playing romantic songs everywhere, and you're standing like a truth.
It's another world.
For a cynic like Punit, he's like, what am I doing here? In this beautiful place with romantic songs.
Did you go to Mount Titlis? And that is the name of the pahad, Mount Titlis.
I went to some Mount Titlis. There was no...
Because there's... But boss, there was Devanagari.
I've never seen someone so disinterested.
There's a notice in Devanagari. You have to see it. It's world famous.
Mount Titlis.
There's a poster of Shah Rukh Khan. There's 4 languages.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
There's Italian, German, French, their languages, and maybe English. And then there's Devanagari.
So he's telling the Guju tourist to keep it down.
It just says one line. Yahan pisab karna mana hai. It doesn't say that in German. In German it says, which is, hold your children tightly or something like that. Or pay on the left counter. But for us, they say pisab karna mana hai. I looked at my wife and I said, what is this? I mean, Yash Chopra gave them his heart and soul with some of the greatest ballads the world has ever seen. Picturized across the entire landscape of Switzerland, and you treat us like this because one out of 2 of us pees in public? What the hell?
So I went in the winter, so there were more Chinese people than Indians.
Was it in Cantonese then?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, don't pee where the Indians pee. It must be in Cantonese.
Pick your own spot.
Oh my God. Oops, that's the issue with India and China, isn't it? Oh. Right, so we're back to you. You're the anchor.
Let's go to the next one. Australia had those massive forest fires.
At the point,
which
it's not
caused,
quelled yet.
Yeah, not quelled yet, but it started raining.
Billions of animals have died.
That's what more harm to animal life than to human life.
It also goes really quickly. I was watching some of the news, Australian television, and I don't know if you've seen a bushfire. It goes like a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a chance in hell sometimes because it catches like Shoaib Akhtar at full pace. Boom, you're gone.
That's how people get caught in them. No, otherwise, how would you get caught in a fire?
No, animals I'm seeing also who normally seem to have a sixth sense about this. Like most dogs, when they enter my house, they want to leave. They have a sixth sense. This is not a good place. Let's go. But and reptiles and birds and all,
Huge number, like what, 500 million
animals? Billion animals.
It's 500 million animals have been killed in South.
It's in the center of the continent. Where is it?
New South Wales.
New South Wales is the most, right?
No, New South Wales is to the...
New South Wales is...
to the east.
No, east is Brisbane. Gold Coast.
No, that is...
That's the east side. West side is Perth. That I know from cricket.
Right. Perth is on the west.
East. Okay, now we're going to have a geography lesson in 5 minutes.
But I think everything else except for Perth is on the east, right? Because they got that massive province which is on the west.
That's New Zealand. That's totally different.
New Zealand's to the east of Australia, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Amit's doing his own podcast now. Let's go to Switzerland. Much easier country.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But what do you have to say about the fact that within the first week of 2020, we've already had this massive ecological disaster. We've had
Abbas,
a threat
you got to stop seeing the
threat
world
of the Third World War.
Gloomy. Just give them something. This is a podcast. You got to do some happy news.
Are there any happy news?
Yes, former shots is releasing.
Golden Globes were announced, so rich people got more gold to add to their collections.
Right. That happened last night at the time of recording. I'm not a night person, so I can't give you the results. Punit, you watched?
I just watched Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais was hosting again.
Monologue. It was nasty.
It was okay.
Wait, so the Golden Globes
who
awards
the
were
fuck are you
yesterday?
two
Awards
to
were
go
yesterday.
about Ricky bloody Gervais, two-bit comedians? Fuck off!
No, here's the thing, right? It was fascinating the first 2 times he did it because it was new.
Yeah.
Because
So you're irritated with this
making roasting,
half roasting.
popular people on their face
yeah.
wasn't so much of a trend back then.
Yeah.
Now it's a regular trend. So this
But
time
they
around,
expected. No, it's okay. Was it funny or not?
yeah.
So you could expect it, but was it funny?
Some of it was funny, but on the whole,
You're
I think
very
he was.
picky considering you work with me and you think Ricky Gervais sucks. I don't know where you come from, mate. And the other thing is stop being so gloomy.
I'll tell you what was funny though. So the best actor in a comedy series was won by this comedian called Rami Youssef. Okay, who's a Muslim comedian. He made a show on his life, and that was the first award announced. So Ricky Gervais said, tongue in cheek, that when you come here get an award, please thank your God and fuck off. Okay, so Rami Youssef,
Hey, that's not funny.
Rami Youssef came. He was the first award after this, and he's like, okay, I'd like to thank my God, Allahu Akbar, and so that was like the first time ever in a first Western thing someone yelled out Allahu Akbar.
In a good way.
And nobody ran. Okay.
Yeah.
So all expect. Look at patronizing 3 comedians here. All think joke wasn't that great. Yeah, 7 on 10 for effort. Huh? But who won the crowd? Who won the crowd? Did he win the crowd? Rami won the crowd?
Rami was one of the better speeches.
Did the crowd like his response?
They did, yes. Because then his next thing
that was truly tongue-in-cheek. Yeah.
His next line was, look, I know you guys haven't seen my show because it's on a streaming site and you have better things to watch like Game of Thrones and all of that. Yeah. So he gave a very comedic speech, which is funny.
All right. Yeah. Anybody's close for
Joaquin Phoenix won for Best Actor for
He's been winning too often. Stop it. He's like the Pankaj Tripathi of America or England or whatever. Or wherever he goes, he wins the award. Pankaj just walks in and gives him the award.
Who?
Pankaj, no?
Pankaj who?
Tripathi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've done 3 awards.
Mirzapur guy.
Yeah, he won when he was that award.
He just keeps winning, man. When we did a show together, he won 2 awards and he already won last year. Web series. They all sound the same. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Even he doesn't know. Ask Pankaj, he had no idea.
He was funny. He came up and they really celebrated him that day. And then the guy was presenting, uska pair mein chhu raha hai, sir, aap bahut mahan ho gaya. He comes up and he says, dude, I'm 45 now. So if you had given me the award when I was 35, I might have cried also. But now even that opportunity is lost.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino won for the best screenplay for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
1917 won for Best Picture. This is a war film from the First World War.
Okay.
And,
Best Picture.
A photograph, basically. Yeah.
And Tom Hanks got what is their version of the Lifetime Achievement Award. So that was like
what has he not won, that guy? The Pankaj Tripathi they mentioned of the West.
It's telling him to retire, I think. That's the
Cecil B.
That's the
DeMille
last moment on stage.
Martin Scorsese's Irishman did not win anything, surprisingly. So yeah,
that is kind of surprising.
It was too long for the critics.
It is too long.
It is too long.
Actually, the ceremony
20 minutes less and he would have won everything.
3.5 hours.
A lot of people tell me that they had to watch it in breaks, which is normally okay.
I don't want to do that. I want to watch the
But you
whole
don't
thing.
do it when you really like something. You know, you tend to just. I mean, if you have the
want to
time.
watch the whole thing, but it's 3.5
Like,
hours.
It is longer than the Tarantino movie. Is it?
The Golden Globe ceremony was shorter than the film. So,
it's like a podcast. Most people take it for 4 minutes, then break 4 minutes. Hence, we have to.
I mean, the Lancer episodes, people request it to be longer. They're like,
because it's 3 minutes. You know, it's like my sex life. Come on, there's a limit.
I want to end with a funny story.
Yeah, so far nothing's been funny. Another shameful show from 4 comedians. 3.5. Amit is more NBA analyst.
That was very subtle, Abbas.
So the BJP account put out a phone number and said if you support the CAA, you should give a missed call on this number.
Yeah, the missed call campaign.
The IT cell being what it is.
But I don't need to do missed call. I have Vodafone. Anyway, it won't go.
Yeah, but they were like... there were... tweets saying if you want to have hot chat with me, dial me on this number, and it was the
Jasmine.
Someone put out that if you want free Netflix subscription, pull it out, to which Netflix retweeted again saying if you want to watch Netflix for free, do what everyone does, share it with someone else's password. And then Amit Shah had to say at a speech the next day that this number is not associated with Netflix.
Because they threatened to take away his account.
He said that.
He said that on a speech. So I thought thought it was rather funny that the Home Minister has to clarify.
He actually said it. See what a populist world we live in, where Donald Trump will take on, Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon in actual conversation and across media platforms. And our ministers are discussing Netflix and Amazon. I mean, just see where we live. It would never have happened 40 years ago. They'll only talk about farmers. How we've come. We've come so far.
Yeah. Maybe we should go back to farmers.
You think?
Yeah.
They still exist, by the way. I mean,
There are farmers?
Yeah.
I know there's old McDonald and he had a farm, but I don't know if they're farmers.
Yeah, Amitabh Bachchan, National Award winner.
For farming?
Farmer. Yes.
Why attack him now, Abbas? We've got so many people to target. I think we're done.
On the topics, yes.
AMAs.
Yes.
Punit, you ready for some hard-hitting letters?
Letters from your fans?
No, from Switzerland.
Oh, all right.
Fans. AMAs, right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to another amazing week on the IVM Podcast Network. You know what? Not just an amazing week. This is going to be an amazing year. We're looking forward to all the stuff that we're going to bring you in 2020. Please remember to fill out our survey, ivmpodcast.com/survey. That's going to really help us know what you guys want from us from 2020 as well, right? I mean, we'd really like to hear from you, so please do fill out that survey. It would be very helpful. Also, would like to thank our sponsors on the network this week. We have Intel, Cambly, and Storytel. Also, if you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's a week of milestones. We have a couple of milestones this week. Geek Fruit released the 300th episode this week. What a journey it's been. Join Tejas and Dinkar as they celebrate this milestone by talking about HBO's new hit show, Watchmen. Actually, surprisingly, at this point, Geek Fruit is the second oldest show on our network, so it's definitely a show if you haven't checked out, please do check out. Another milestone that we have is it's the 50th episode of our Kannada show, Thalle Harate. So definitely do check that stuff out. And as for the rest of our regular programming, on Cyrus Says this week, Cyrus talks to actor Neil Bopalam. On IVM Likes, Abbas, Alika, Ritika, and Madhuri give their weekly recommendations, discuss their favorite short stories, and talk about our new storytelling show, Tapri Tales. On Golgappa, Trupti is joined by Nikhil Mahajan, a director who carved a niche in the industry through his film Pune 52. He elaborates on the craft of storytelling and what goes into making films for a living. On KBCD, Farhad and Sunetro talk about their experiences of having lived in different cities. They share how different cities have had an impact on their queer identity. On Litnama, Lakshmi talks to Sonia Thomas about her work at BuzzFeed, the meme culture, internet as a space for women, TikTok videos, and digital literary trends. On Tapri Tales, Mallory tells the story of a mother who tries to understand YouTube trends and garners a dream of having her own YouTube channel. And with that, let's get on with your show.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Right back here on this show, the AMA time, which brings Amit, for some reason, a cough and cold. And let's just say fork off and fork cold.
Okay.
Yeah, I taught my daughter that the other day. She thought it was really funny. It's kind of funny. Yeah. You know how it's like a new toy? So she kept saying, fork off, fork off. I want something, fork off. Suddenly a 12-year-old girl saying it, somebody's going to start looking at the father. But let's go to Punit. Punit, why do you lose so much weight before you take the AMAs?
I'm on a diet called Intermittent Fasting.
That 14-15 hour thing.
Yeah, also known as depression. So it's this.
But Garibo,
Huh?
poor people, same thing. They can't eat more than one meal. So you
Yes.
just... So just explain quickly, 15 hours, you don't... in the night, you have your last meal at 6 or something.
No. I'm not not gone Jain totally, but it's.
Okay. Now, we have to stop polarizing this country. Again.
I skip a meal or two. So.
No, you idiot. There's a science to it. You can't say, I'm Sindhi, I'll make my own. No, it doesn't work like that. Boss, listen, I know people do this. I mean, you know this.
16 hours.
16 hours. 16 hours, so you stop at 8, say, in the night. You cannot eat till 12 in the afternoon of the next day.
No. I'm not on any app.
Then why are you allowing some intermittent fast, but you've lost weight?
Yeah.
So it's working.
It's working.
One way or the other. All right. How much weight have you lost?
Actually stable, which means that I only lost the fat. So I'm still at 75.
You only lost fat. Your muscle you've retained.
Some of it.
Your comic muscle. All right, AMAs with Abbas.
Okay, this one comes from Satya Narayan. He says, hey, Cyrus and company.
Satya.
Yeah.
What a movie.
You like this
And
question.
then it was all downhill. Uske baad, sorry.
Huge fan of the show. I'm a diehard sports fanatic. For a long time, I've tried to get all the women I know excited about this subject, but failed
If you stopped
miserably.
at excited, it would have been a great question.
So he has a anecdote. He said, I'm currently in the States and I've noticed American women are very passionate about their local teams. Assuming Desi women living here might be different, I took my date to an exciting GS Warriors game. She redefined the bored to death look and refused to ever go out with me. I have noticed it's only a few rare girls from upper middle class families who are at least aware of the ongoings in the world of sports. So my question is, how do we get Indian women excited about sports like we are?
I'm glad them to Warriors.
I'm glad at the time of CAA, caste and communal tensions, America attacking Iran's top general, the other people's problems are what I can empathize with. Like, the girls don't like my games. But there's one sexist point in all this. I noticed also that the girls who are into sports, a lot of them have, elder brothers, younger brothers, strong family influences growing up who are into sports.
Otherwise, they wouldn't give
Otherwise, they probably wouldn't. So there's a bit of sexism at play. But I think it's changing now.
Yes, I see a lot of women.
Who are the Warriors, by the way? They're the Kabaddi team.
No.
Golden State Warriors. They won.
Not in front of him. You made a big mistake. Now, we are getting a 5-minute basketball lecture, whether we like it or not. Damn the AMA question. We're screwed.
They won 2 titles in a row.
There you go.
Then last year, they lost in the finals to Toronto.
Wait, but this
year, they're the worst team ever.
What?
I know, asking.
You guys want to save the world, but you don't know anything about bloody basketball.
Basketball.
Go.
Okay.
GS
Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Even I know that.
Yeah.
Abbas, what kind of woman are you?
So how does one?
They're really bad this year. They were basically an elite team, but they've had their 3 best players get injured. So this year, they've gone from being one of the best teams that are there to being the single worst team in the NBA.
Okay.
So that's why if you go for a game, Golden State Warriors game, nobody's going to be interested in that.
Well, I have a very terrible story to tell. When I was early into my marriage, I remember India had won the toss, playing a match against Australia, one-day game, and it was a day game, and we were batting first. So I told my wife, please hurry up because I want to use the toilet so I can see us bat because Sachin and Viru are opening. And that's want to watch the first few overs. And she purposely took long, and so I locked the bathroom door from outside. Then my dad shouted, they've come, and all that. We all went, we used to watch cricket together in those days. And watching the game, and till the first break, which in one-day games is 1 hour 15 minutes because you break it 3.5 hours. So 1 hour 15 minutes later, suddenly he said, where's Aisha? And when I shut the TV noise and you could hear her screaming and banging the door. She walked out of the house.
Don't do that.
Abbas, she walked out of the house with the bag. And my parents screaming at me on top of that. Trying to pull her back and all that. And me just saying sorry. And in between, I'd made one big mistake when she was about to turn. I just told my dad, Sachin hit a 4. She left again. So this whole sports issue, male-female sexist thing or whatever, I don't know what to do with it, but it can be a big thing. We made fun of this young man, Satya, in the beginning, but I understand. Satya.
Satya Narayan.
I think he has actually come to our office and gifted me a Golden State Warriors t-shirt.
But he wanted a girl in return who likes sports. And I told him, we don't do that kind of thing.
Actually, no, probably not, because the guy who came was married. So it was I think his name was Satya. He was a Golden State Warriors fan.
Right.
But
it's typical of the Golden State Warriors that most of their fans are called Satya. I've noticed this. A trend is there across the world.
Okay, the next one comes from Swastik Bangera. Hi Cyrus, I came across some crazy Cyrus stories by Sahukar, Mini Mathur and Gaurav Kapoor on a web show.
I heard about that show.
Yeah, Kunal told me.
One story was where Cyrus slapped a captain of a barge and Sahukar was thrashed because they share the same name. Any details Cyrus remembers of this?
I threw the chairs. I accept that.
What is this story?
They were telling us to shut. We went on a launch. We were very drunk. It was all completely my fault. And then they wanted us to get off the chairs as we were reaching because they want to fold the chairs. So I threw a couple of chairs into the sea. So they came after me. There were some fisticuffs and all that. And then they separated us. But then when we came on land, more of the owners of that, there one group of guys, Malayalam speaking basically. And then they're all from the same like village or something. So about 40 of them then got together and they knew the first name. They got the wrong one. I was still drinking in the Taj. Straight from Gateway. Take all Maro. And Saukar, who hardly drank, was walking around. And then they said, Pakro. And they hammered him a little bit.
I never heard the word fisticuffs outside a Woodhouse novel. So
I'll tell you, fisticuffs, they must have beaten me up. I can't remember much. I was told about most of it. I don't remember throwing the chairs. But the guy was taking the chair and just folding it, taking the chair. We were all sitting around. We paid for why did they do that? You paid for the whole launch and they should only take the chairs once we reach.
You wanted to catch the last train to Virar, no? That's why.
Take the boat, no? Accept your boat. So somewhat, but all these stories in legend, they fabricate them and make them more than it is.
Of course. Okay,
it's a simple mistaken identity. It can happen anywhere. What is it?
This one comes from Pankaj Jathar. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hi Cyrus, fan of your podcast and been a fan from Bakra days. Here is one thing that always bugs me. You might have noticed it too and have an opinion on it.
I don't know.
In the men's urinals in India, why do men always pee on the floor across the country. Calcutta, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore. I have always seen this.
What observation powers?
Whether it's a restaurant or an airport, men seem to pee just short of the pot. There is always a pool of pee just below the pot and a few inches ahead, making it very difficult to stand close to the pot and pee thereby. So 2 questions on that. Why do you think... What?
It's an issue. Give the man his chance.
What do you think about this, and do you have a solution? And number 2, did Bill Clinton also dribble on the floor?
Well, I couldn't look over to see him because in Barcelona, the urinals were like, if you're 6 foot, you can see over. And if you're under 6 foot, you can't see over. So he could see me. Hence, it was terrible. I mean, I don't mean it that. Okay, let me retract. What I mean is, it wasn't a quid pro quo. Only he could see. But coming back to this whole thing, I think A, it's got to do with size. Okay. B,
really?
Yeah, a lot of people try to avoid making contact, especially with the urinal. You don't want your little boy to touch it.
Size of the urinal.
Both. It's physics, Baba, physics. So you have to be careful of that. So in trying to not touch it, because it's touching it, you tend to sort of move it a little bit. And that's when it spills out. That's one of the reasons. The others, you're not paying attention on your phone. Idiots do all kinds of things. Have you seen? Bolo. Nema toilet mo. Nema baad mein phone karta hai. Abhi nahi. Sun to sahi. And he's peed on my foot and walked off. Yeah, so this happens all the time. And the worst part is when people ask you for a selfie in the bathroom. I don't know. That's just ridiculous. To bakra kar raha hai. And so the background is the urinal. I mean, he's not even washed his hand. He put his hand around me. And he's taking a picture. And I'm zipping up. I've had like 5,000 of those, man.
I think the guy answered his own question also, right? Because there's already so much piss on the floor and around. You have to be a little bit further behind.
That's a very good observation.
Or you feel like adding to it because...
Yeah, you think for my community, this is where to go. Fair enough. Yeah.
I like the guy's concern. Like there's bushfires, there's World War III, but this is
more important
on top of it.
Because he quoted
let's take it further. They should also have different size in terms of heights for urinals. Be all different heights. Okay, I hate the idea of sometimes when I was in Tokyo, for example, I found that they were very low. They decided that people are maybe shorter or whatever. So I think we should have 5-6 options. So Punit, who's 6 foot, can go and, get his one. And I just think that's one size fits all.
Though, right? I mean,
so for kids, they make it really low. Yeah. But I have giant kids, for example. So I just think give us options. Give us options and we'll get it right. So it fits you better, That's all I'm saying. Yeah. It's a bit like politics. Give us options. Oh, sorry.
So since we're discussing urinals in such detail, do you prefer the down to the floor urinal rather than the...
I like to mount it like a classical animal. I mount it properly, and then when I fire, I feel I'm totally on top of what I'm doing. Right. It's a bit like tricep pushdowns. I always like to do over the tricep when I'm pushing down properly. I feel my triceps work better, otherwise my shoulders get involved too much. So sometimes I think I'm doing tricep pushdowns when I'm peeing, and I land up peeing on the other place because my arms are doing all the work. Yeah. All right. Also, are you a 2-hand man while peeing or a 1-hand man?
We've asked, now let him reply to this.
Okay, please reply to this. Punit will take Punit, in Switzerland, you notice 2 hands or 1 hand?
They had hands free, actually.
Really? They asked the Indian guy to come and help.
In Japan, they have a robot who does it for you. So.
Wow, okay. Okay, this one comes from Abhik Ghosh. Hi, Cyrus. Did you get a chance to see the Golden Globes and Ricky Gervais? I'm a huge Ricky Gervais fan.
So am I.
And I am thus partial to whatever he does.
So am I.
Although I would like to know, where do you stand on jokes having boundaries? I love the way how he could unabashedly criticize the industry and Apple in front of Tim Cook for their double standards. When can we have that in India?
He stopped this. He stopped the night for us. He wants an exact date. Wednesday, 32nd of March, 2058.
No, but I mean, seriously, we've been making fun of stuff for all.
Yeah, we're not doing so badly, honestly. And secondly, I'll say Ricky Gervais got a lot of flack, so-called freedom of press in the West. The first time he hosted, and he was pushed off many things, and they didn't call him for many things.
But then he got to host 4 more times, also, right?
He also got to host, but Oscars are cancelled forever.
Yeah.
They're now thinking of not having hosts because
host
of people like him.
Yeah.
Hostless, in a sense. Wow. We will be governmentless.
Last year was a hostless. Kevin Hart was appointed and then he was taken off.
For something he said 32 years ago. It's like Babri Masjid. Right the wrongs, those statute of limitations. Yeah. So what was the question?
The question was, what do you think about jokes having boundaries, and do you think
Let Punit handle this? Now, he's a real professional comedian here. Do you think market? You're a savvy guy.
There are no boundaries on jokes. The only boundary is how much money you want to make. So if you want to make enough, you stay within boundaries, play it safe, and get the kitty parties and the private parties.
No, but as a comedian, you're playing the room. Now, you know who the people are. It's like being a politician only. So you sort of target your jokes correctly. Or would you purposely go the other way and be so edgy just to make them uncomfortable, which is another thing.
You can't do that in stand-up. You have to be true to yourself.
Yeah. I like to make people uncomfortable, mostly that's in marriage, which is quite funny in its own way.
Yeah. Right. Okay, let's take one last
Abbas,
one.
you didn't say anything about boundaries.
About what? About boundaries, it depends on a couple of factors, right? I mean, depends on reading the room.
Would you make religious jokes?
Yeah, yes, I do.
But you check what kind of audience you have, no?
I mean, you pepper it with a few test jokes
in a certain
again,
environment.
You test it out with a few jokes in the beginning. If you think they're laughing at the right thing.
Have you ever made a cow joke?
No.
Have you made a cow laugh?
I've made a cow urine joke.
Have you made a cow pee?
On stage, not yet.
Just looking at what all you can do. Looking forward at what
That's why I sent him to Switzerland. Get me a cow.
He couldn't find a cow, bichara.
So is the Swiss cow not holy then?
That's a good
The
question.
hybrid is.
The hybrid is.
Yes. The ones that came with the Yash Chopra production crew.
As long as they help you win elections in UP, they're holy. If they don't, then they're not.
And we have boundaries apparently.
We have boundaries. Okay, it's okay. He's not crossed the line as far as I'm concerned. What is crossing the line? I think when the
That's
offense
actually
is malicious,
that is the question.
Malicious offense. It's more not about what, but who the person is and why they're.
I think
if they're getting
expectations matter, right? I think that is the key thing, right? If you're looking at you're listening to Cock and Bull,
right?
You expect us to be somewhat political, but not stridently political.
Because we're not smart enough.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. You watch Kunal Kamra, you expect it to be
very
a certain
smart,
type
but not
of
funny.
But you watch someone like
Kunal Vijayekar and expect him to not talk about nothing of consequence.
You guys do politics too, but let's say you talk to someone like, say maybe Kunal Rao, right? Kunal Rao doesn't really do political comedy that much, right? So it really does depend on who the person is. You have expectations.
So you're right. So when Ricky Gervais comes on, and I'm a huge fan, you expect him to be edgy.
Yeah.
You expect him to get under your skin.
Yes.
And the Muslim sort of joke was a little bit perhaps.
No, that was played upon by the Rami Youssef who won
lucky
it.
enough, Rami
But
liked. What if the person didn't like it?
That's true.
So you don't know for sure.
So the question that he referring to the Tim Cook one is that no
Did he make some gay jokes
Apple has a streaming service now, right, called Apple TV.
Right. I'm trying to get on it.
Which has a show starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and all of that, which was nominated for the Golden Globes. So he made a joke saying Apple now has a streaming service. Congratulations to the nominees, but please do remember you're working for a streaming service. The devices for which are made by children in China. So enough with your high-handedness. When you get your award, just thank your God and fuck off. That was the entire context of that joke.
So was that his repeated joke throughout the year? Thank you, God and fuck off?
No, so that was the build-up to that joke.
So what you're saying is he has one punchline.
Yeah.
change everything, but keep the same punchline.
But he spoke about sweatshops also in Apple's context.
Yeah.
And imagine doing that with Ambani in the audience in India.
Forget that. I was just thinking that Apple TV is cheaper than onions in India.
That's
you
true.
Think about it.
Apple TV is $99
exactly.
a month.
And onions are $130. Well, it's just come down. Stock. We never know when it.
What,
Winter's coming.
Apple TV is 99 rupees a month.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have Apple TV? Oh, in Marathi we say Apple TV. What are you saying?
I have Netflix, I have Amazon.
Okay, don't show up. Don't do that. That's just a bad story now. It's like the rich kid who's upset. My father has bank job.
No, but what I was trying to say is that I have all of these things, but I wind up watching YouTube more than anything else.
Oh. But he's got that big screen. He knows how to buffer everything and all. I can't do anything. I watched a whole movie on a phone the other day.
Which movie?
It was called The Loft.
Wow. What's
scary?
What
guys want to hear the concept as we end the show? So 4 guys decide to share one little terrace loft room.
And
they can bring chicks in. And then there's a murder.
Of course.
So we are 4 guys, want to share a loft, but we don't know any chicks. You went to Switzerland, you couldn't find any. Alright, that's all we have time for.
No, wait.
More? How much more?
You mentioned Kamra, so I remembered I was at the protest yesterday, where Kamra was also there, where I ran into 2 Cyrus Says fans.
Oh.
So I just want to give a shout out to Aditya Khanna and Bharat Mishra.
But how do they know you're from Cyrus?
Because we were chanting near them and we were calling each other. We were calling each other. So someone called me Abbas and he must have heard me speak. So he said, hey,
Abbas is a fairly common name.
I know, but he heard my voice now, which is what they do
now
on
you're
the
feeling
podcast.
bad and immodest here for a second because just your one word was picked up. This is like an Amitabh Bachchan story. You're walking on the road and Bachchan is shouting Troy
Cyrus,
and you know it's his great voice.
They are your fans because they listen to this show. They're like
Abbas,
big fans of Cyrus.
your one line.
Yeah, because I listen to Cock and Bull.
I think we should Uber or something should come on board. No? We can do all their voiceovers. We can do their voice. Yeah. Please rate the driver.
So I told them I'll give them a shout out on Cock and Bull.
What are the names?
One second. Aditya Khanna and Bharat Mishra.
Aditya Khanna, Bharat Mishra, apparently, I won't say fans is a loose word. They are people who've heard the show.
They listen to a lot of podcasts. Cock and Bull is one of them.
They listen to lots of podcasts and still have time for protests. I would think, if you have so much time,
you can listen to the podcast on the way to the protest. No?
Also, I'm just wondering, you listen to our stupid podcast and then you want to go and save India? What's going on? What's going wrong? What are we doing wrong? Something we're doing wrong.
Well, our listeners are politically conscious.
Unfortunately, yes. So be very careful. Next week's topic, Tom and Jerry. Punit, thanks so much, yaar.
Dhanyawad, sir.
Switzerland us taraf se. Go left and straight. Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Remember the last vacation you took? What about the one you took 3 years ago? Okay, how much do you really remember? It's a question I've asked myself often over a decade of traveling the world. Hey, I'm Utsav, and I do not travel the world for a living. I have a full-time job and responsibilities, but I have made traveling the world a priority. Priority enough that I negotiate extra leave in my job contracts, obsessively track my frequent flyer miles, and I'm willing to take off at the sight of a cheap ticket. Yes, I am cheap. I've lived and worked in 3 countries. I understand human behavior for a living. And these experiences have given me unique insights into places, people, and culture. With over a decade of travel behind me, I increasingly realized one thing, that we cannot see everything. So whatever we see, we must see deeply. Because as the film of memory decays, the imprints which will stand the test of time are the ones felt by the immersion of the senses, not by fleeting encounters with them. Postcards from Nowhere is an immersion into the world of slow travel, one story at a time. Tune in every Thursday on the IVM Podcasts app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.
माणसं गोलगप्प्यासारखी असतात. हाय हॅलो करताना वेगळी आणि बोलताना वेगळी आणि गप्पा मारताना वेगळी, मित्र झाली की वेगळी आणि शत्रू म्हणून वेगळी, थोडक्यात दिसणारी वेगळी आणि असणारी वेगळी, कधी आंबट, कधी गोड, कधी तिखट, तर कधी चमचमीत आणि कधी कधी हॉट अँड स्पायसी सुद्धा. आणि म्हणूनच गप्पा गोल गप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर फक्त तुमच्यासाठी दर बुधवारी IVM पॉडकास्टच्या ऍपवर, वेबसाईटवर किंवा युट्यूब चॅनलवर सुद्धा ऐकू शकता. तुम्ही आमचा पॉडकास्ट वेगवेगळ्या पॉडकास्ट प्लॅटफॉर्मवरती ऐकू शकता. फक्त सर्च करा गोल गप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर आणि आमचा पॉडकास्ट ऐकत रहा.